Hey everybody, welcome to the Be Weird broadcast. Hey, we got ourselves a real one today. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're having a good morning. Things are happening. Holy cow. I'm looking forward to today because we got a lot of serious issues to talk about. Teachers are braver than cops, everybody. It's official. It's official. Teachers are braver than cops. That's the point of today's stream. We're gonna go over how cops have been reacting to mass shootings, both in Canada and America, of course, because of the Uvalde shooting in Texas, which is super fucked up. So yeah, we're gonna yay everybody. Are you excited? I hope you're as excited as I am. Yeah. Not good. So I'm just gonna blast off. But how you doing? How's your morning going? Did you get some coffee? Caffeine? Coach Kerr's speech. We're gonna start with that actually. Yeah. Definitely starting with that. I think it's just because it's in the timeline furthest away and the most evocative. So we'll start with that. There's been a couple really intense speeches. We'll check out what Beto said, what Abbott said, and then I'm actually going to turn at the end to Canada. There's been some developments in the mass shooting that happened in Nova Scotia 2 years back in 2020, and how the police reacted then is also very interesting, also very curious. So that's definitely the plan for today. But yeah, I hope you're doing all right. I'm just gonna blast off on Facebook, on Twitter. And yeah, I hope you're here for it. Hope you're ready. Porta Peak. Yeah, you remembered exactly. I guess you're a bit closer to it than I am. I keep forgetting the name of the town. Yeah, that's right. But all right. That's enough preamble. Well, yeah, no doubt. Like, I mean, from what I understand, there's just like a couple hours of absolute confusion with no one really knowing what was going on, with the town, with the cops not really making clear what was going on. So I'm definitely interested in reviewing that. It's been a couple years. My memory's hazy on it. I can't remember how they reacted. And also there's some fuckery going around with the court case. So it's all coming up in the next hour. Okay, so we gonna move on over. We are here, and the first thing we have for today is that is that speech from the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr. I have no idea who this guy is. I have absolutely zero clue, but he's clearly like some sort of coach, some sort of like rep for a team, and he pops off almost immediately after the news of the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and we're gonna listen to it. I'm just gonna boost the sound.
Happened with our team in the last 6 hours. We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter. Since we left shoot around, 14 children were killed 400 miles from here, and a teacher. And in the last 10 days, we've had elderly black people killed in a supermarket.
No shot. I thought today, like throughout the week, I was thinking like, oh man, it's gonna be like 3 to 4 days since the top shooting. I wonder if like people will still be dialed into it by then, and whether if by the time I stream about it on Thursday, if it will be old news. I kid you not, I was thinking about that like Tuesday, being like, will this still be in the news? That was a big story. That was a messed up story. It's been a week and there have been 3 shootings. How?
In Buffalo, we've had Asian churchgoers killed.
Which I like barely, like, what?
In Southern California, and now we have...
I didn't even know about the Southern California one. There's been 3, and I only knew about 2, and people have been talking about 3, and I'm like, wait, what's this other one?
Children murdered at school. When are we going to do something?
Bro.
I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to
Thoughts and
the
prayers.
devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of the, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is
This I find really interesting because he's actually calling out Republicans and this is one party.
the background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years.
2 years.
And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything
Oh, he does call out Republicans directly. Wow. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is truth to power. This is poet shit, and it's coming from like some sports coach.
about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings. I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we
Yeah.
do every week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this, to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs. You know.
This was like something I read about when I think like a decade ago about how the normalization of violence in Mexico because of like cartel violence and gang wars and stuff like that, and just like the inability of the state to sort of, I guess, monopolize violence in this case. And thinking, yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't happen to any human. How could you not normalize something if you can't actually change it for the better? And if it's way too chaotic and dangerous for you to even really think about constructively, yeah, you just kind of put it out of your head. What else are you supposed to do? And Americans have been doing that with mass gun violence for so long, so long.
Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game.
Yeah.
And
Just like all of a sudden, all the normal things we do just suddenly don't make sense, don't have the importance we thought they did.
50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want.
Wow.
They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
Bro, that was a true claim. That was a true claim. 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want universal background checks. In 2021, the House passed legislation that would extend gun background checks to private sales, but the measure didn't reach a vote in the Senate. Curious. For years, polls have shown a majority of Americans support gun background checks for all buyers. Some polls show overall support in the ballpark of 90%. Support is lower among Republicans, but polls still indicate majority backing. Wow, that's wild. This is like stuff like this. Like for me, a 10-to-1. Anytime I see 10-to-1, I think something's deeply wrong with the system. And in this case, like 90%, let's say, people support a very simple change in the law, which they were able to do in a single day when people were standing with cardboard outside of Booth, I Like Beer Kavanaugh's house. Oh, they passed a law then. But gun control legislation? Nah. This is when you realize that America is absolutely an oligarchy. And I think actually AOC was talking about that on Instagram Live. I'll see if I can pull that up because that was super interesting. She was like popping off. She was popping off so hard last night. Okay, next up. This is a bit more of like an overview, but we are going to get to Governor Abbott from the press conference that he was putting on, and then we'll go to Beto interrupting it. So it'll give us a nice kind of frame of reference of how Abbott wanted to control the conversation, let's say, or try to frame the narrative. And it's going to be like an interesting inflection point, I think, for a lot of this.
This is an ABC News special report.
Good day, everyone. I'm Amy Robach. We are coming on the air because authorities are about to hold a press conference here, updating that horrific school shooting here in Uvalde, Texas. Of course, shattering this small community. 19 children killed, most of them third and fourth graders, along with 2 teachers. The second deadliest school shooting in U.S. history, coming nearly a decade after Newtown. It happened just 10 days after that horrific crime in Buffalo as well. We're going to take a listen now to the briefing.
It is intolerable and it is unacceptable for us to have in the state anybody who would kill little kids in our schools. Children are a blessing. God teaches us that.
Oh my God.
They're filled with laughter,
What?
innocence, and joy. Their love is a gift that parents get to unwrap every single day. Parents in Uvalde had that gift taken away from them, stolen by a demented person.
It's mental health, everybody. Mental health.
Days before yesterday, when these children were at school, some were
I can't even imagine as a parent. My heart hurts so much for these families. Yeah, I can't. I get a little bit of distance because I don't have a kid, so I'm gonna stay composed because this is intense shit. Like, this is very overwhelming, even for me. Like,
receiving awards for perfect attendance.
and also like the people who are like allowing these systems to survive using your emotions, like that's what he's doing right now. He's like, oh yeah, kids, don't we all love kids? Oh gosh, kids. And then turning the blind eye to the gun manufacturing lobby that allows this shit to happen. It's wild.
These kids will never attend school again.
Back on
To
track
say
with
the
health.
least, Uvalde has been
Well, even like, yeah, I think like there's even a stat I'll pull up later about mental health funding has been like slashed in the past couple of years, and they passed a law recently in Texas to expand gun rights. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and apparently he bought like 2 AR-15s, like, and a bunch of bullets. Like, oh man, oh my god.
shaken to its core. Families are broken apart.
Oh god, don't do this.
Hearts are forever shattered.
Literally
they-
literally can't do it.
What they need is uplifting from all of our fellow Texans and all of our fellow Americans.
Bro.
And let me emphasize something.
They can't even come together over kids while saying we need to come together over kids. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I know you all know. But the reality is, as horrible as what happened,
Uh-oh.
it could have been worse.
It could have.
The reason
What? Oh, I forgot he said this. How could it have? How could it have been worse? Honestly, my guy, how could it possibly have been worse? This is like 8th level. Yeah. Within 24 hours.
is our love. What they need is uplifting from all of our fellow Texans and all of our fellow Americans. And let me emphasize something that I know you all know. But the reality is, as horrible as what happened.
Bro, he has set this up with 2 preambles. I know you already know this, but it's got to be said. And the truth hurts, but it could have been worse. How?
The reason it was not worse is because law enforcement
Oh
officials
my god.
did what they do.
Oh my god.
They showed
Oh my god.
amazing courage
Oh my god.
by running toward gunfire.
We're gonna watch a video later that I haven't seen yet, but I hear is devastating, of cops restraining parents who wanted to rush inside because the shooter was in there for 40 minutes. Okay? Governor Abbott clearly is like carrying water for the police because like he's in their pocket. But this is next level. This is crazy. This is insane. This is insane.
For the singular purpose of trying
2 teachers killed. 0 injuries among the police. I think there was minor injuries.
to save lives.
Bro.
And it is a fact
Wait, they waited till he
that
ran out of
because
bullets. They're like, oh yeah, now that he's finished what he's done.
of their quick response, getting on the scene, being able to respond to the gunman and eliminate the gunman.
Yeah. Imagine trying to console someone and be like, yeah, could have been worse.
They were able to save lives.
What lives? Their own lives.
Unfortunately,
They saved their own
not
lives.
enough.
The fucking guy. He's like, the police got out okay. Yeah, how to re-traumatize people 101 for sure.
But I want to make sure that everybody knows,
Wow.
all of the law enforcement agencies and groups that are involved and were involved in this process. The Texas Rangers are leading the investigation, and they are supported by the Texas Department of Public Safety Highway Patrol, the Texas Department of Public Safety Criminal Investigative Division, DPS Aircraft, DPS Intelligence Counter and Terrorism Division, DPS Crime and Victim Support. They're also supported by the Texas Division of Emergency Management, the
Look how calm
FBI,
he
as
is.
well as multiple federal
You know
partners.
what? That's something I just noticed. Look how calm he is. This dude is calm as a... This dude is super calm. This just could be a regular fucking press conference. I don't see a single tear.
Including the DEA,
Not a tremor in his voice.
ATF, HSI, and Border Patrol.
He
And
is
then,
cool
of
as
course,
cucumber.
the valiant local officials,
Wow. I just
the
noticed.
Uvalde Sheriff's Department, Uvalde Police Department, Uvalde
He's talking about police right now. That's all he's... This is just a psyop. This is just propaganda. Yeah. Yeah, he's just like, oh yeah. How can we figure out to make this that police are the heroes?
Independent School District Police, Uvalde County Constables,
Not a tear.
Uvalde Mayor, the County Judge, Uvalde District Attorney's Office.
I mean, he's a dude, so maybe he just doesn't process emotions that way. But literally, listen what he's talking about. It's like, what are we? What this? What? Secretly like 3rd graders. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Local public
It's like, yeah, I had it in for that teacher. It's all that groove.
Works and Surrounding Police
CRT.
Department, and the San Antonio Police
Yikes.
and Fire Department also.
Bruh. Hey, as has been commonly said, there ain't no song called "Fuck the Firefighters." Don't exist.
Let me walk you through some of the facts of what has happened. There's been a lot of things that have been said. Some are correct, some are incorrect.
We're gonna follow this up, actually not with Beto, but maybe with the Associated Press story, and then we'll see how his facts hold up.
Let me tell you the best information that we have at this time, understanding, very importantly, that this is an ongoing investigation, and ongoing investigations
Yo, they are expensive endorsements. My guy has given several more promotions than tears, more promotions than condolences.
often reveal new information as those investigations progress.
What am I watching?
The first thing that happened was that the gunman shot his grandmother in the face. She then contacted police. The gunman fled, and as he was fleeing, he had an accident just outside of the elementary school, and he ran into the school.
Now, he just skipped over a part where apparently there were officers who confronted but did not engage at the school and may have exchanged, and apparently there may have been gunfire, there may not have been, we don't know yet. It's all very sussy.
Officers with the Consolidated Independent School District, they approached the gunman and engaged with the gunman at that time. The
Engaged.
gunman then entered a back door and went down
Bro.
2 short hallways and then into a classroom on the left-hand side.
Bro,
The gun room
they didn't follow.
entered into that classroom, and the classroom was connected internally to another classroom. Border Patrol, Consolidated ISD officers, police, sheriffs, and DPS officers converged on that classroom.
40 minutes later. You skipped over the 40-minute wait.
And a Border Patrol officer killed the gunman. As I said, Texas Rangers are leading the investigation, joined by federal, state, and local law enforcement officials. At this time, we know that 19 children.
All right, oh my God, I cannot listen to this fucker. Oh, I'm so upset.
19 children
So
have
the
lost their
kids,
lives.
don't name them.
2 faculty members
What are their names?
lost.
So 2 classes were kind of stuck in one room. It might just have been that there's like a doorway. I don't really understand the layout. I can't really say with confidence.
Their lives.
I don't know. He said that they're internally
In
connected.
addition to that, there are 17 people who are injured, but their injuries are not life-threatening.
Bro,
All family members
this is so cold.
of
This is so
all of these
weird.
students and faculty members have been contacted and informed about the circumstances.
How are you making
Officials are
coherent
working with
sentences?
parents to ensure that their parents are going to be able to see their children. Parents should contact victim services at the county fairplex.
What the fuck is this?
We know that there are parents still
What am I watching?
striving to make a connection. All parents are welcome and urged to contact victim services at the county fairplex. The gunman.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? That was the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, just, bro, make sure to. We got some services if you need them. You good?
Was 18 years old and reportedly a high school dropout. Reportedly, there has been no criminal history identified yet. He may have had a juvenile record.
Who is his PR? I have no idea. This is really weird and cold and calculated, and
That is yet to be determined.
I mean, part of what makes a politician is not having that PR, is being able to speak to a moment from the heart, and that's usually what people are looking for when they think about politicians, being like empty suits. Like, is usually the concern that nothing feels them. There's actually a really interesting thread, I'll see if I can find it later, from the mayor of like Edmonton or Calgary, who had this really interesting post, and she was like, when you enter into politics, they'll often tell you to get hard, like harden yourself, to create a shield so that things don't feel you. And she's like, no, you should never do that. You should always make sure you're feeling like all the things. And I thought that was a really interesting take. And we're going to see exactly that, like the lack of emotion from Abbott, the sort of cold and cynical debriefing of like police action and the numbers of people, like not their names, just numbers. And then we're going to contrast that with the AP story, like the actual facts of story, and then like Beto's reaction. Yeah, absolutely. Like the police union has him over a barrel, and this is what it looks like when you live in a police state.
No known mental health history of the gunman.
No criminal record.
He used one
My guy, he couldn't go out to a bar and drink, but he could go get 2 guns and 750 rounds.
weapon, which was an AR-15, using 223 rounds.
AR-15. Huh, where have I heard that before?
There was no meaningful forewarning of this crime other than what I'm about to tell you. As of this time, the only
Besides the fact he bought 2 AR-15s and a bunch of rounds?
information that was known
Bro.
in advance
Bro.
was posted by the gunman on Facebook approximately 30 minutes before reaching the school. The first post was to the point of, he said, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother."
Yeesh.
The second post was, "I shot my grandmother." The third post, maybe less than 15 minutes before arriving at the school, was, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school."
Yikes.
I mentioned that during the shootout that took place at the school, in addition to the students and the faculty, there were 3 officers who were injured who were all remain in good condition. One deputy
Literally
sheriff
talking back to police.
lost a daughter
Oh my god, stop
in that
it.
school.
Stop it. You're literally, holy shit. He's literally been, oh my god. Oh my god. He's like, now I feel the pain. One of our police is directly affected. Let's focus on that. What a double whammy.
Before coming out here, we had a long discussion with law enforcement at all levels.
Oh my god.
We
What
had a
about the
discussion
parents?
with community leaders, elected officials. And I asked the sheriff and others an open-ended question,
Holy shit, talk about the parents, for the
and
love of God.
got the same answer from the sheriff as well as from the mayor of Uvalde. The question was, what is the problem here? And they were straightforward and emphatic. They said, we have a problem with mental health illness in this community.
Okay, this is way more dark than I thought it would be. I didn't realize how fucked up this press conference would be. With it, he's already politicized it. He's already politicized it within hours. Holy shit. Republican politicians, the sheeple that continue to vote for them, and the worst people in the world, how can they be so callous and stupid? Psyops. Culture war bullshit, man. It works. Demand better. That was fucked up. I think there's like a stat that I want to dig into about like how a lot of mass shooters don't have mental health issues, that they all get there through like logic. They're aware of what they're doing. There's logical frame of mind. There's like awareness of consequences, but just like a callousness, a lack of empathy. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Beto interrupted this. This is way darker than I thought it would be. Holy shit.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Sit down.
You're out of line and an embarrassment.
Sit down and don't play this stuff.
The next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this other...
Bro is barely raising his voice. The other guy's on a mic, and now they got feels. Oh, now they feel things. Ooh, look at these snowflakes melt. Beto O'Rourke is the Democratic candidate who will be going up against Senator Ted Cruz in the upcoming election. So this is very much a political moment for him, but it's a pretty sane and reasonable choice to make. That's the right fucking battle to fight. And last I checked, like people who suffer from mental health are by and large recipients of violence. They are the victims, almost like by huge margins, rather than the perpetrators of violence. Yeah, no, somebody had to speak up. Maybe you could start addressing this mental health thing with universal healthcare. No, El Darnak, we're cutting mental health resources. I'm pretty sure Texas actually has some of the lowest funding in the states.
I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
Oh my God! Stop it. He's calling him a sick son of a bitch.
Yeah, you want me to come in?
Bro.
So we're following some developments here at this news conference here in Uvalde right now. That is Beto O'Rourke, who is telling the governor of Texas right now another shooting is going to happen, essentially.
Yeah, it absolutely is one of the root problems. But again, I think it's worth stressing, or at least digging in once more, how many of these mass shooters actually do have mental health issues. Because I don't actually think a lot of them do. Like, they might be troubled, but not like schizophrenia, not like advanced mental, like psychological issues. I think like what wasn't it about the Columbine shooters? There's all this wave of support about like how they were bullied, and you know, there's like this big movement towards dealing with bullying in schools, and then it came out from the classmates that like, yeah, they were terrible people. Their entire career, they were the bullies, and then they just got worse, and they just targeted the people that they were bullying. Like, I mean, sometimes it isn't so black and white, so clear. There is some gray area going on there, but all the same, mental health resources would be tremendous. Therapy would probably, as a baseline for everyone, just be available. Probably do a lot of good. Probably just take half of the police budget, maybe 80% of it, and just pump it into therapy and mental health, and it'll probably prevent a lot of this shit.
Putting the
and if not this, the road rage stuff, or like, I don't know, like the political violence. I don't know.
Onus on the governor and the leadership in Texas right now, confronting him face to face at this news conference.
Small bias perception I have, but I'm strongly against this continued orchestrated stigmatization. Access to services gives more choices than a gun. Yeah. Like, I mean, what is it like? If you're black or brown, you are a terrorist, but if you're white, you got mental health issues. Like, it's a scapegoat. They're using this to sort of like push attention away from guns, away from hyper-militarization of the police. But if a demon rat says something right, yeah.
Over the killings that happened at this elementary school,
I'm not politicizing. You're politicizing.
Is also running for office here in the state of Texas, statewide office. He is being escorted out right now by police. A stunning moment here. Around 24 hours after the shooting just occurred. A lot of screaming back and forth there in the hall.
Absolutely scapegoating.
We were about to hear from the Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick.
They know what they're doing.
And
they know what
it
they're doing.
appears there are other protesters inside.
Okay, so I think that after this, Abbott continues to talk outside of
50th in the nation in mental health care access. 50th.
Okay, really bad quality, but here we go.
There are only 50 states in the nation. We are 50th in the nation in mental health care access.
Oh, there's your answer. 50th. They're dead last for mental health. So yeah, mental health. It would be nice to actually. Is there actual quotes of what was screamed? From what I'll pull it up. But from what I remembered, it was you're doing nothing. The time to stop the next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing. In response, officials called him a sick son of a bitch, and police escort him out.
This is 50th. There are only 50 states in the nation. We are dead last. The #1 provider of mental health care services under Greg Abbott in the state of Texas is the county jail system in the state of Texas.
No, like, it's very simple, Lacey. We're just going to make teachers, psychologists, and police, okay? We're going to give them all guns, okay? And we're also going to make sure they're at the front line for all mental health issues that our youth face, particularly like climate anxiety or, you know, like, let's say gender dysphoria or any of these complex psychological issues. And, but it's cool. We're going to make sure that they get the AR-15s this time. That way, you know, it's an even playing field. They're not stuck with like some shitty handgun when an intruder who, you know, obviously knows how these drills work because they would have experienced them as a kid. That's how long this has been going on. That the mass shooters actually know what schools are going to do in response. So yeah.
Largest inpatient mental health care facility in the state of Texas is the Harris County Jail in downtown Houston, Texas. He's refused to expand Medicaid, which would bring $10 billion a year, including mental health care access. Having trouble. They may kill somebody. They may kill themselves. A red flag law would protect the public. He's refused.
Red flag laws are actually pretty popular too. And I think like one thing I heard about this that was really shocking to me, that was really confusing, was from Robert Evans, and he was citing someone else, I can't remember, but it was like red flags will never go in because it's going to ensnare a bunch of police who like might have, you know, a problem with domestic abuse. You know, there's like a marked difference between rates of domestic abuse between police officers and the general public. And he was arguing that red flag laws would the net is wide enough that it would catch a bunch of police officers, so it's politically untenable.
He's refused to support safe storage laws so young people cannot get their hands on their parents' guns.
Also, studies coming out showing that like even just the prevalence of guns, just the existence of them in the household, increases the rate of suicide.
He's refused to support a ban on AR-15s and AK-47s. This 18-year-old who just turned 18 bought an AR-15 and took it into an elementary school and shot kids in the face and killed them. Why are we letting this happen in this country? Why is this happening in this state?
It's worth noting that Beto's previous run for like, I think, I want to say senator, maybe it was senator, I think he tried, or governor, I can't remember, but he basically lost his run when he said, hell yeah, we're going to come and take your AR-15s, basically saying, taking a pretty strong position of gun control, and that basically ended his run. He came really close. It was Ted Cruz. He came really close to beating Ted Cruz, but didn't, and it was mostly because of that quote. And here he is, you know, like holy shit, are they ever like reaping what they sown?
Year after year, city after city, this is on all of us if we do not do something, and I am going to do something, and I'm not alone. The people of Texas are with us. The majority of the people of Texas are with us, but we've got to...
I think, Lacey, that since Sandy Hook, no meaningful gun law has been passed. From what I remember. I think the only one was the bump stock. And that was from, remember that shooting that killed hundreds of people? Hundreds of people. Because a dude took up an artillery to a hotel room, set up shop, and then fired down into a concert full of people. And all the good guys with the guns realized very quickly that they were useless in that situation because they had no idea where the shooter was coming from. And probably didn't have the scopes to be firing back at a high angle at night, and if cops showed up, as they did, you couldn't identify yourself as the shooter or as a good guy. So all the good guys with the guns had to get the fuck out and surrender their weapons to the police. Holy shit. And Sandy Hook's was 10 years ago. Yeah, this is where we're at.
Stand up to this, or we just accept this theater and business as usual, and we accept the next shooting. We could have stopped this if we had stood up after...
Two of your cousins were there, Eldarnock? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's awful. Yo, that trauma rings out. That changes a person. Like, you don't come back from that. You have a near-death experience. You will not forget that.
Santa Fe High School. If we had stood up after El Paso, we are going to stop the next one. We're standing up right here in Uvalde, Texas right now.
Las
That's
Vegas,
why I'm
that's
here.
What it was. I was thinking Texas again for some reason. Las Vegas is in Nevada, right?
That's what the people of
Desert.
Texas want right now. That's what we're going to focus on.
No, Las Vegas? Where the fuck is Las Vegas? How do I not know this? It is Nevada. Okay. Nevada. So Beto O'Rourke, spit and fire. It's basically his moment to do so. Yeah, the Las Vegas shooting was also deeply... I don't think we ever got a motive out of that, too. Yeah, I was just thinking desert country. Okay, here's where things get really fucked up. This is where, like, if you were having a hard time before, you're gonna have a really hard time now, okay? This is the Associated Press. So right now, this is my baseline for like facts. Okay. So I'm using this to think through what Governor Abbott said. I noticed he didn't mention the amount of time, and I noticed that he didn't talk about like police getting locked out. They blamed mental health as a white man shooter. Yeah. This was not a white person. This was a Latino. I think the joke that was going around was, we know the shooter wasn't white because he's dead. Right? There was a white boy who just shot up a fucking supermarket in a racist terror attack. Oh, they got him alive. Oh, he alive. Oh, he got arrested. Very calm. Surrendered. No issues. This boy? Oh no. Oh no. They got him good. Interesting, eh? Curious. Very, 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 very curious. Okay. Frustrated onlookers urged police officers to charge into the Texas elementary school, where a gunman's rampage killed 19 children and 2 teachers, witnesses said Wednesday, as investigators worked to track the massacre that lasted upwards of 40 minutes and ended when the 18-year-old shooter was killed by a Border Patrol team. Quote, go in there. Go in there. Nearby women shouted at the officers soon after the attack began, said Juan Carranza, 24, who saw the scene from outside his house across the street from Robb Elementary in the close-knit town of Uvalde. Carranza said the officers did not go in. Javier Cazares, whose fourth grade teacher, Jacqueline Savares, was killed in the attack, said he raced to the school when he heard about the shooting, arriving while police were still gathered outside the building. Upset that police were not moving in, he raised the idea of charging into the school with several other bystanders. Quote, let's just rush in because the cops aren't doing anything like they are supposed to, he said. More could have been done. They were unprepared, he added. Minutes earlier, is it Saranza or Carranza? Oh, Savares. Okay, I see. Carranza had watched as Salvador Ramos crashed his truck into a ditch outside the school, grabbed his AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, and shot at 2 people outside a nearby funeral home who ran away uninjured. So he crashes his truck, pulls out his gun, starts shooting right away. Officials say he encountered, air quotes, a school district security officer outside the school, though there were conflicting reports from authorities on whether the men exchanged gunfire. Conflicting reports. A reminder that in America, police are legally allowed to lie. After running inside, he fired on 2 arriving Uvalde police officers who were outside the building, said Texas Department of Public Safety spokesperson Travis Considine. The police officers were injured. After entering the school, Ramos charged into one classroom and began to kill. He, quote, barricaded himself by locking the door and just started shooting children and teachers that were inside that classroom. Lieutenant Christopher Olivares of the Department of Public Safety told CNN, it just shows you the complete evil of the shooter. All those killed were in the same classroom, he said. Department of Public Safety Director Steve McCraw told reporters that 40 minutes to an hour elapsed from when Ramos opened fire on the school security officer to when the tactical team shot him, though department spokesman said later that they could not give a solid estimate of how long the gunman was in the school or when he was killed. Quote, the bottom line is law enforcement was there, McCraw said. They did engage immediately. They did contain Ramos in the classroom. Bruh. Meanwhile, a law enforcement official familiar with the investigation said the Border Patrol agents had trouble breaching the classroom door and had to get a staff member to open the room with a key. So they barricaded him in and barricaded him so well they couldn't actually get in there. You know, the place where all the defenseless children were. I don't think that's how barricades work. I don't think that's what that word means. I don't think containing in the classroom is equivalent to locking yourself out. The official spoke on the condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to speak publicly about the ongoing investigation. Oh, so he obviously did not feel very good about how his fellow cops were locked out of the room. Carranza said the officers should have entered the school sooner. Quote, there were more of them. There was just one of him, he said. Cops are not a solution. I mean, from what I understand, like Uvalde, 40% of their budget, of their city budget, goes to this. Like they got the funds. They got all sorts of monies. But yeah, no, I don't think police are exactly doing what they need to be doing. Holy shit. Uvalde is a largely Latino town of some 16,000 people, about 120 clicks from the Mexican border. Robb Elementary, which has nearly 600 students in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, is a single-story brick structure in a mostly residential neighborhood of modest homes. Before attacking the school, Ramos shot and wounded his grandmother at the home they shared, authorities said. Neighbor Gilbert Gallegos, 82, who lives across the street and has known the family for decades, said he was puttering in his yard when he heard the shots. Ramos ran out the front door and across the small yard to the truck parked in front of the house. He seemed panicked, Gallegos said, and had trouble getting the truck out of park. Then he raced away. Quote, he spun out, fast, spraying gravel in the air. His grandmother emerged covered in blood. Quote, she says, Berto, this is what he did. He shot me. She was hospitalized. Gallegos, whose wife called 911, said he had heard no arguments before or after the shots and knew of no history of bullying or abuse of Ramos, who he rarely saw. Investigators also shed no light on Ramos's motive for the attack, which also left at least 17 people wounded. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said Ramos, a resident of the small town about 135 clicks west of San Antonio, had no criminal or mental health history. Quote, we don't see a motive or catalyst right now, said McGraw of the Department of Public Safety. Ramos legally bought the rifle and a second one. Like it. Last week. Just after his birthday, authorities said. Turns 18, gets a gun. After about a half hour before the mass shooting, Ramos sent the first of 3 online messages warning about his plans, Abbott said. Ramos wrote that he was going to shoot his grandmother, then that he had shot the woman. In the last note, he sent about 15 minutes before he reached Robb Elementary, he said he was going to shoot up an elementary school, according to Abbott. We just listened to that. Investigators said Ramos did not specify which school. Interesting. Ramos sent the private one-to-one text messages via Facebook, said company spokesman Andy Stone. It was not clear who received the messages. Grief engulfed Uvalde as the details emerged. The dead included Eliana Garcia, an outgoing 10-year-old who loved to sing, dance, and play basketball, a fellow 4th grader, Xavier Javier Lopez, who had been eagerly awaiting a summer of swimming, and a teacher, Eva Mireles, whose husband is an officer with the school's district's police department. Quote, you can just tell by their angelic smiles that they were loved, Uvalde School Superintendent Hal Harrell said, fighting back tears, as he recalled the children and teachers killed. The tragedy was the latest in a seemingly unending wave of mass shootings across the U.S. in recent years. Just 10 days earlier, 10 black people were shot to death in a racist attack at a Buffalo, New York supermarket. The attack was the deadliest school shooting in the U.S. since the gunman killed 20 children and 6 adults at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut in December 2012. Amid calls for tighter restrictions on firearms, the Republican governor repeatedly talked about mental health struggles among Texas young people and argued that tougher gun laws in Chicago, New York, and California are ineffective. And then we learn about all this stuff live from the actual clips. So there you go, everybody. The cops waited outside. We're actually going to watch that video. There's actually a clip of taken outside of the elementary of teachers and parents fighting. So we're going to watch that. I don't know what you got to do to get ready to stomach that. Here we go. Desperate parents wait outside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. I'm going to go to the washroom and I'm going to play this. I'll be right back. case I didn't make it absolutely clear. Trigger warning, you might not enjoy this. This might not be for you. It's about a 5-minute clip. If you can't hear parents wailing about their kids, go get some coffee, get some water, take a breather, come back.
It's not helping matters. We're taking care of shit. He ain't done yet. She did. It's not good. Y'all should have fucking changed that motherfucker like that. I'm fucking going to him. ¿Qué me vas a disparar, güey? ¡Eres shooting!
Yo, he's got an AR-15 on his chest. All these cops are ready to go. Like literally, there are more police efforts, more police forces to corral these the parents. Then what the fuck? They all got AR-15s. Or was that an M4? Jesus. Parents aren't going to go in if you go in. Yo, police just need soft targets. There's a hard target, they're like, nope, that's too dangerous. But these parents, these are easy to, these people are easy to push around. I just don't understand. Go in there. And those fucking police are like sitting on their back heels. Actually, to serve and protect is not an actual thing that was basically struck down. Police have no obligation to protect citizens. This is a decision like a decade and a half back.
Hey, we got guys going in to get kids, okay? Hey, we got guys going in to get kids, okay? They're working.
He says they're working. While he says they're working, they're literally they've contained him in the room with all their kids. Like,
I'm just saying right here. They're worried about keeping everybody on the stretcher. They don't, but no, they shot him right there. They shot him. That's okay.
bro, I can't even. I can't even. I think that's it. This person's just kind of walking away.
Yeah.
Wow, that was...
Rolling. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a hard watch. That was a hard watch. Holy shit. I'm still digesting that. That was fucking wild. Oh my god. Wow. Yeah, that's how little accountability there are for police. They feel so unaccountable that not even the most basic of our social functions keep kids safe. They can't even do that. This is the party of Save the Children. This is the party that has allowed so much of their culture get corrupted by QAnon that they're literally creating all these Facebook groups about Save the Children and Save the Kids and pro-life this and all that. Meanwhile, like, their policies directly lead to insane shit like this. And when you confront them on it, holy fuck, the bad faith arguments come out. It is like, look at this. I think there was a post. Yeah, like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Child gun deaths in Texas doubled under Greg Abbott. Then came Uvalde. While mass shootings multiplied, the Texas governor liberalized firearm access. The annual number of gun deaths for children 17 and under jumped from 54 in 2015, Abbott's first year as governor, to 146 in 2020, the latest year available from the CDC. Youth gun deaths rose every year over that period, except one. Texas has the distinction of having more children die by gunshot than any other state, and I think I came across a stat that, like, in 2020, gun deaths were more dangerous to kids than car accidents. That's where we're at in America. Those figures, highlighted in an interview with Ari Freilich of the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, threatens to get worse this year. Quote, Texas has suffered more of the nation's deadliest mass shootings than any other state. They've repeatedly done nothing. For most Americans, access to a wide array of firearms and ammunition lies only a short trip away to a sporting goods or a gun store. But several restrictions now common in other states or stalled in Congress, gun reformers say, could have impeded the Uvalde shooting before it started, or at least made it less lethal. He's using... Yeah. Yeah, this is wild, man. Though mass shootings account for a tiny fraction of homicides in any given year, mass shooters tend to seek out AR-style semi-automatic rifles to emulate mass shooters who came before them. According to James Densley, co-author of The Violence Project, the weapon's accuracy, portability, and high magazine capacity make them capable of killing people efficiently. I think Biden was quipping that, like, deer don't wear Kevlar. Like, you don't need this type of weapon. Like, only military needs this kind of shit. It's for killing people. It's not for hunting. Mass shooters study other mass shooters. There's a script, if you will, for what mass shootings look like, and that shooting at Tops, the white supremacist, like, was very much a ripping off of the Christchurch shooter, who also had, like, this weird screed that he compiled from 4chan posts. It's all the same snake. It's bad, man. Estimated civilian-owned firearms per country. Look at Canada. Canada's way up there. Yo, we are top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are number 5. And we have had 2 mass shootings, which we're going to dig into a little bit as well. But the US is like, woo, more than Yemen, which is basically being bombed to shit by the Saudis. Serbia, I don't know much about Serbia or Uruguay. And then Canada and Finland, like we hunt. Austria, North Macedonia, like some of these places, I'm just like, wait, what? There's guns there? Okay. Yeah, America, not even once. In the last 24 hours since the Uvalde massacre, Fox News has proposed at least 50 solutions, and none of them are gun control.
I advocate always for an armed security guard. Armed schools.
Even some of the guns that are legal in Canada blow my mind. You don't need an automatic weapon to kill a deer or a moose. Yeah, I think we just like regulate the shit out of them though. Like they're pretty hard to acquire, and you have to keep them. Like we have a bunch of regulations that, and I think Trudeau announced he's going to put in even more gun restrictions. When we dig into the Nova Scotia, I think the part I'm going to harp on is how the RCMP weren't telling people that this dude was going around pretending to be an RCMP officer.
Safety officer.
Armed deputy. Arming teachers.
Potentially arm and prepare and train teachers and other administrators.
Armed school staffers.
That used to be a joke.
Bring in policemen.
Training the students themselves.
Retired military, retired law enforcement. We can offer them tax breaks.
One conservative that I follow on Twitter, Counterpoints, was pointing out that like a lot of the people who get these gigs at schools are like the retired law enforcement who don't, or people who are kind of too lazy or aren't willing to do the road work, and so they get like this cozy job at a school where they sort of throw their weight around and do nothing.
If you give law enforcement the opportunity to impose martial law, we can guarantee safety and security.
Securing that perimeter, kind of providing kind of a ring of steel.
You have the fences, you have the main administration building, and then you have wide gaps on either side. The fencing's not very high.
Where the door's locked, bulletproof glass. All of these shootings have happened at the same time that we see religion and Christian values and Judeo-Christian values declining.
Anybody who decides that they want to do something like this should immediately know that attacking a school is a death sentence for them.
Kids are afraid of being the school snitch.
We have to stop letting these schools be gun-free zones.
People need to put their phones down and.
Yeah, I think, what was the joke? Like, how many cops per school, like, how many cops per kid do you need for a free society? Let's make churches. Yeah. It's going to get worse.
Get to know the person next to them.
We have spent billions of dollars on COVID-related measures for our schools. Let's take some of that money and divert it over to hardening these soft targets.
A lot of these private schools, they take security way more serious.
Parents, take your children to church.
This anti-police narrative is forcing people not to call police.
A series of interlocking doors at the school entrance that are triggered by a tripwire, and it traps the shooter like a rat.
God is the answer to that.
There's a moral rot going on that we all need to dig in and try to address.
I vote for decreasing social media exposure.
We need to start focusing on mental health.
Tell us why you think it's important to pray in a moment like this.
This is why I was harping on the mental health thing, is because to me, it's not that it's invalid. It's just one of these. It's one of these scapegoats. It's anything but talking about how cops and guns are the problem.
It calls for faith and prayer.
Why is it that schools are protected in the same way that airports?
There are some people who don't want police officers.
Airports famous for forcing everyone to take off their shoes for that one guy who had a shitty bomb in his shoe that got caught. Yeah, those airports. The TSA that is famous for having like a 95% fail rate or something crazy like that.
Schools with guns because other people are triggered.
Assault rifle and enhanced body armor.
A notification system to let everybody in the school know what's happening.
Single point of entry.
I don't like talking about this stuff as it happens because I don't think it contributes anything positive.
Parents should be held accountable for raising their children properly.
Ballistic blankets.
We just don't have the resources to get law enforcement there quickly.
How about an executive order for these mental health facilities.
We have to start rebuilding this country and returning to God.
I arm myself everywhere I legally can.
It's up to you to protect yourself.
Like, literally, they're going so far. It's like, why can't the kids just defend themselves? Oh my god. Oh my god. I think there was a quote on a tweet that really broke me, and it was like a parent talking to their child, and she's like something like, I hope you know, like, you know what to do in these situations or something. And she's like, yeah, we all have to hide it, but all the good safe spots get taken within the first few seconds. And then she left the room, and I was just like, oh my god, of course that would happen. Like, the kids would start to very quickly realize what's a safe spot and what's not a safe spot, and then, like anything, there would be a pecking order. Wild. Well, this is the crazy part, Loud Tyrant Youth, is that Sacha Baron Cohen did a whole skit on this, where he pretended to be an IDF, Israeli Defense Forces soldier, ex-IDF or whatever, and he played the part so well, he convinced, like, Congress people to be in his promotion to arm kindergartners. And he called it, like, the kindergartners or something stupid like that. And they did a whole, like, music video about, like, how to load, you know, the gun and shoot people, but all, like, couched in language for 4-year-olds. It was deeply fucked up. Like, you get how wild this is, you know, right? Like, Canada's watching America just, like, just hopping into, like, a paper bag right now, just like, oh god, please don't affect our culture, please don't affect our politics, oh god, oh jeez. I think that's the part that I struggle with, is like, I watch it infect Canadian culture, and it's so hard to slow it or stop it, or
I'm a med aide, so when I arrived on the scene, they still had kids inside. They started bringing the kids out, and I was aiding assistants. One little girl was just covered in blood, head to toe.
Every time we have a serious shooting here, we're like, we've had 2, I think, in Canada, the Polytechnique and the one in Nova Scotia. But there's also that crazy kid who drove a van down the street.
Like, I thought she was injured. I asked her what was wrong.
Incel.
And she said she's okay. She was hysterical, saying that they shot her best friend, that they killed her best friend, and she's not breathing, and that she was trying to call the cops. And I asked the little girl the name, and she told me, she said Amory.
That's how you learn.
She was so sweet, Mr. Cooper. She was the sweetest little girl who did nothing wrong. She listened to her mom and dad. She always brushed her teeth. She was creative. She made things for us. She never got in trouble in school. Like, I just want to know what she did to be a victim.
And she loved being a big sister. You have a 3-year-old son named Zane.
We have a 3-year-old son named Zane who asks for his sister every morning when he wakes up.
No. Holy shit, they're saying no gunfire exchanged? So the police didn't even shoot at the guy when he was going in, but they said he got injuries? They got injuries somehow? How did they get injuries if no gunfire was exchanged? What the fuck?
He doesn't know at this point, I assume.
We've informed him that his sister is now with the God, and that she will no longer be with us. And
oh, you too.
Of course,
oh
he just
God,
cried. I mean,
I'm sorry to hear that. I know. I work in education as well. Like, anytime you're working with kids, you're just like, how do we protect you? Like, how do we save you from the evils of the world? Oh.
He's 3 years old, and it's just emotional for him to even process.
It's hard for me to process.
She just turned 10. Her birthday was on the 10th. May the 10th, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. You had a party for it.
We just gathered a family and had a dinner. She just got her phone. She had been wanting her phone for so long, and we finally got it for her.
She just tried to call the police.
She actually tried to call.
Yes, I got confirmation from 2 of the students in her classroom that she was just trying to call the authorities.
She tried to call.
And I guess he just shot her. How you look at this girl and shoot her?
Oh my god.
Oh, my baby. How do you shoot my baby? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, of course it's
Holy fucking shit. Holy shit. Oh my god. That was... Bro. Holy fuck. I have nothing to say after that. I'm just gonna move on. That was really upsetting. Yeah, we learned about this earlier. Funding's been cut. Intercept is coming after the police, basically saying like, yo, they did shit. The Uvalde City School District has its own police department, staffed with a chief, 5 cops, and a security guard, which participates in anti-bullying initiatives, including the poster contest Ramirez run. Absent meaningful gun reform, advocates and lawmakers often call for changes that seem more attainable, less bullying, and more cops. Right. Despite the school and the police's best efforts, an 18-year-old was able to, as soon as he became, he's able to get an AR-15 in a state that does not require a license to carry. You need a license to drive a car. He can not buy alcohol, but he can get a gun without a license? What the fuck? Although the shooter had crashed his car and been engaged by law enforcement before entering the school, he still made it inside. As the number of school resource officers has ballooned over the last 2 decades, so has the number of school shootings. There is no evidence that police have the ability to stop these shootings from happening. Quote, the idea that a standard armed school police officer is going to stop someone in that situation has proven not to be true time and time again. I think there's another school shooting from last year or whatever, and the police officer just waited outside. He ran away or something. Nevertheless, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said, quote, it is a fact that due to the quick response of law enforcement officials, they were able to save lives. Unfortunately, not enough. We watched that live. That was really intense to hear him lie like that so brazenly. Abbott went on to list more than 20 state and federal agencies. Yeah, just started talking about, look at all these people who were involved. Let's make sure they get named. What are you talking about? A flurry of early coverage quickly identified the shooter as a, quote, victim of bullying and speculated about mental health issues, even though he had no publicly known diagnosis. Quote, anybody who shoots somebody else has a mental health challenge, Abbott said Wednesday, though he soon contradicted himself by adding that in this case, quote, there was no mental health history. Yeah, I remember that part. Lawmakers concerned about bullying leading to violence in schools might consider that members of law enforcement themselves are often the ones bullying students. Quote, Cops are authorized to use force in a way that teachers and school administrators are not. There's one tweet I came across that was like, they put cops in schools to beat up black kids, to beat up black and brown kids. And like, absolutely. It's so hard to read it any other way. If administrators increasingly turn to on-site police officers to discipline students, that means more kids will be handcuffed, tased, and beaten. And I've seen, personally, quite a few videos of that. I won't show it right now, but oh yeah, you can watch all sorts of videos of police like body slamming like 12-year-olds and shit. There's one where this kid got dragged out of a classroom. I've seen kids get tased. Like, police are out of pocket. They are like literally tearing the society apart because they have so much there's so little accountability that they can just wield violence in any way, shape, or form, or not in this case. Those school shootings are both incredibly traumatic and increasing. There have been more than 24 in the U.S. this year. They're still statistically rare, Vitali pointed out. Quote, so what are those police officers actually doing all day, every day? Since they're not preventing school shootings, they're harassing kids, searching kids, waging a war on drugs, engaged in criminalizing disciplinary problems. And the burden of that falls most heavily on disabled kids, kids of color, and LGBTQ kids in the form of harassment arrest. That's what actual everyday school police do. Law enforcement cannot react quick enough to stop these things every time. So we're going to need people on the ground, whether they're trained police officers or whether they're people that are trained in the school. Attorney General Ken Paxton said Tuesday night on Fox News. The very same Attorney General Ken Paxton who's been charged with a crime and yet hasn't had to face that charge in court for 7 years, mysteriously. Quote, the idea that a teacher with a gun is going to stop someone with a semi-automatic or automatic weapon wearing body armor is ludicrous, Vitali said. In January, Uvalde City Police received a $500,000 grant from the state's controversial Operation Lone Star program, which Abbott launched last March, deploying thousands of soldiers to the state's southern border. The grant came on top of the department's existing $4 million budget, just under 40% of the total city budget. They're taking half of this town's budget, and they can't even protect their kids. Bruh. Game over. Game over. Get them out of there. This is what people talk about. This is what the people mean by defund the police. Why do police need 40% of the budget? Is it seriously more important than teachers, who clearly are the ones like actually trying to stop crazed criminals? Federal funding for school resource officers comes from the community-oriented policing services, literally cops. Literally just says cops. Jesus. Program under the Department of Justice, which provides more than $500 million each year for state and local law enforcement, including more than $50 million to a school violence prevention program. Ain't no money for Texas to expand Medicaid by like $50 billion or something like that. Like, they refuse to accept federal funds. Oh no, wouldn't want to accept those funds for mental health issues, but cops deserve money. After officers from the Uvalde City Independent School District Police Department engaged the shooter, Texas Department of Public Safety Sergeant Eric Estrada told CNN, quote, unfortunately, he was able to enter the premises, and then from there, that's when he went on and entered several classrooms and started shooting his firearm. What a weird way to talk about it. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely incredible. The numbers really speak a whole nother story, for sure. As mass shootings in the U.S. continue to rise, both Democratic and Republican federal and local officials have prioritized additional police presence instead of stricter gun laws. I'll remind you that at Biden's State of the Union, he literally said, fund the police. And my head fucking exploded. Literally said the words, we need to fund the police. Shut the fuck up. At the same time, efforts to arm teachers have caused additional violence. After the 2018 shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida, the state passed a law allowing teachers to be armed in the classroom. Shortly afterward, there were several incidents, including in California, Virginia, and Florida, of armed teachers and school resource officers accidentally firing their weapons or injuring students. Yo, like it's a cancer at the heart of the society. The culture rot has gotten so incredibly malicious and I guess like it's metastasized. They're literally trying to arm teachers and kids. It's not even within the realm of sanity. If anti-bullying and mental health initiatives are to be taken seriously as a solution, they should be pursued outside a law enforcement context, according to civil and human rights groups like the Dignity in Schools campaign. A national coalition focused on stopping the school-to-prison pipeline. Putting more cops in schools won't make kids safer, but will further criminalize them, says Kessie Foster, co-executive director at Partners for Dignity and Rights, an organization that works to advance economic and social rights in housing, education, and labor. Police have been used in schools for more than half a century, at least since the 1950s. When schools became a place for students to struggle over their rights during the civil rights movement, Foster said, quote, "That's when we really saw the large influx of police and police programs in schools. Police are really in schools because they're the most effective tool for the state at controlling young black and brown people." Ah, there you go. There it is, everybody. That's it. There's your answer. It's got a deep history. And people wonder why, like, the history of police being involved in catching, I don't know, man, like, police have a very dark history. It's not what they teach you in school. Quote, "There's no evidence that we're aware of. We'd love to see it if it exists, of having police in schools as a way to make schools safer or prevent school shootings," said Mark Schindler, co-author of an April 2021 Brookings Institute, an American Enterprise Institute report on school policing. Schindler is also executive director of the Justice Policy Institute, a nonprofit criminal justice group. "In schools with police, kids are more likely to be suspended and expelled," Schindler said, quote, "and more likely to be referred to the justice system, the so-called school-to-prison pipeline, for behavior that is not necessarily appropriate to be referred to the justice system. We're talking about behavior that years ago, when I was in school, would be more likely to be handled in the principal's office." Yeah. Quote, what does keep schools safe is having more well-trained mental health counselors, social workers, and alternative resolution dispute programs, Schindler said. But schools already lack the resources for necessary mental health services and social supports, and education budgets have been slashed while police funding continues to climb. Police officers usually cost more than counselors and social workers. Of course they do, Schindler added, so you're paying people more to do this job. And while mass school shootings have historically been perpetrated by young white males in majority white schools, he added, the negative consequences of increased policing in schools disproportionately fall on black and brown students. Reports have noted that the Uvalde shooter was socially isolated, bullied, and had exhibited violent behavior. But the assumption that mental strife leads to gun violence is a dangerous scapegoat. Quote, blaming mental illness for mass shootings inflicts a damaging stigma on the millions of people who suffer from clinical afflictions, the vast majority of whom are not violent, wrote Mark Fullman, Mother Jones editor and the author of Trigger Points Inside the Mission to Stop Mass Shootings in America in the LA Times last week. Quote, extensive research shows the links between mental illness and violent behavior is small and not useful for predicting violent acts. And I think that's what you were talking about earlier, Lacey, about like we need to stop stigmatizing mental illness. Quote, instead of marshaling a robust preventative intervention, we wait until the problem expresses itself as a mass killing, and then we microanalyze the police response, said Vitali. This is a completely backwards way to approach the problem, because policing is an inherently inadequate response to these things. By the time the shooting starts, the police intervention is going to be reactive. People will already be dead. Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That was a good report from The Intercept. Okay, we are moving on. So in response, Joe Biden has unveiled a new order making police misconduct records public on the second anniversary of George Floyd's death to increase police accountability and transparency. Excuse me. Police cannot fulfill their role to keep communities safe without public trust, the White House said. So he signed an executive order. To heal as a nation, we must acknowledge that fatal encounters with law enforcement have disproportionately involved black and brown people. The order would require all federal agencies to amend their use of force policies and to account for all officers fired for misconduct in a new national registry. So they're actually building a database, finally. Yeah. Yeah. I think like part of the reason people are freaking out is because when you look at other countries, like for instance, 26 years ago, a gunman entered Dunblane Primary School in Scotland, killing 16 kids and a teacher. The UK government response the UK government responded by enacting tight gun control legislation. In the 9,400 days since, there have been a total of 0 school shootings in the UK. And you'll see this also with New Zealand. New Zealand had a very similar where they like bought back all the guns. So I don't even know. Like, there's just so many examples of how to fix this. Yeah. So that's pretty much, I think that's pretty much it, everybody. I think that's where I'm going to end the stream. We covered a lot. We looked at a bunch of stuff. That was a pretty rough one. Sorry if you had some bad feels. America is crumbling. The empire is starting to fall apart. And this is the kind of stuff we're going to see more and more, especially as we get closer to the election. I'm not really hopeful. I think things are going to get worse, not better. So yeah, call your mom. Call your mom. That's it. You got kids, hug them. All right. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you later. Have a lovely day. I'll be back tomorrow morning, same time. This is almost certainly still going to be the story. And hopefully there's some fresher input and not the same culture war bullshit over and over again. Yeah, but yeah, we're seeing the worst part of the world blown up because it's just so evil. Everybody has to know why it's happening or what's up with it. There's still a lot of good kind of happening, but yeah, I don't know, man. Lots of things are falling apart. It's pretty weird. Anyways, yeah, have a good one. Have a lovely day. Au revoir. À la prochaine. See you later. Arrivederci. Bye-bye.